So we've got GLA 3 next, so we can't build any units, we can't use any units except for the 8 rebels and the 6 rebels we get later on from the tunnel network. Other units that we have are allowed to attack, but I have no control over who or what they attack. Anyways, on with the battle. So with the 8 rebels that we're starting with, we're just going to run those guys over to where the tunnel network is, and that will give us the 6 other rebels that I mentioned in the rules. Now, I ended up using my sneak attack right away next to the quad cannon. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But with 14 rebels, it means that my options are very limited as to what I can do. See, with the US forces, they're going to have Rangers, rocket troops, Crusaders, Humvees, Comanches. So they got a lot of their arsenal to play with, and me not so much. It's really going to be the Comanches that are going to be the biggest concern here, because rebels can't shoot down aircraft. So with the objective here, I'm using the tunnel network to attack the Rangers for me. Now, I didn't specify if base defenses can attack. They can. So if I put it in the rules that I can't, then you get the idea. Anyways, so the tunnel network can't get to the other Ranger and the rocket trooper there, so we're just going to take them out with the rebels there, and then that way we've got free reign over the particle cannon. Now I'm evacuating my Vet 1 rebels, that way we can completely fill up the tunnel with the rest, and I'm getting 1 rebel to get the scraps, that way we can get some veterancy for our guys. Veterancy is going to be very important for this one, that way we can get as much damage in on the US forces as we can.
Destroy these tanks, and we can liberate the beds.
So, going for the Tomahawk, I was trying to move my rebels in a way where I could get both the Tomahawk as well as the pilot there. So yeah, got to be very mindful of how I move the rebels, that way I can get the most amount of damage done to them, and they won't be able to do much damage to me. And also, like if I got a barracks or a tunnel nearby, I can get them healed up pretty well. So now that that's out of the way, Jarman Kell will not service. He can chill out at the palace here, but we do have access to a barracks, so we can use that as well as the tunnels to help heal our rebels. See, once we get them up to Vet 2 and Vet 3, then they can self-heal, and I won't have to rely on tunnels and the barracks to do the healing for me. Now, I ended up using a sneak attack next to the tunnel, and the reason why I did that is because I was trying to draw out the fire of the Raptors that the US forces have. See, the tunnel network that we've got is very important, and I want to try and keep it intact, so then it can pick off any other Rangers that para-drop on the map. Yep, so just getting all the scraps we can. Now, with the rebels, I ended up getting the camo upgrade for them, so they're stealthy, and I also got the fortified structures upgrade from the palace too. Now, the fortified structures side of things, that's mainly so the Comanches and other units the US has will take longer to pick off those buildings. That's the only reason why I did that. So here comes the Ranger Paradrop that I mentioned earlier, and as well as the Raptors, and my plan to try and draw the fire of the Raptors was unsuccessful, which means that they're going to not only capture the particle cannon, but they'll be able to destroy that sneak attack as well. So I am able to get 1 rebel to act as a spy, and then I can use him to maybe pick off a ranger or 2, but I have to do it very, very carefully as well. Now, with the particle cannon captured by the US, they have control over the power plants, which means that the particle cannon will tick down for them, but once I capture the particle cannon again, and I also capture the power plants, that means that I'll be able to immediately fire the particle cannon. So that was my plan going forward. Now, with our rebels, we're just collecting more money and more scraps, trying to vet them up, and here's the thing. Because they're stealthy, the fire bases aren't going to get to them. If it was Patriots, I'd be absolutely screwed. So we're just trying to figure out what the best way is to like destroy the fire bases, but not lose any of the rebels.
We will not be oppressed.
So I start off with this firebase here, and I'm using a sneak attack, and that will also clear the fencing as well. You could just use the units to clear out fences. It's something I keep forgetting that I'm able to do in this game, is just shoot the fence. You will clear it. But even so, the sneak attack is able to draw some of the fire of the units inside the firebase, and then I can use my rebel to pick off those guys and make the firebase weaker overall. So since that guy is vetted up to vet 3, we can get another guy and then pick off the last guy, vet him up. Rinse, repeat. Everyone's going to be a vet 3. That was the goal. Yep, change over. So now we've got one guy that's going to solo the firebase for me. See, this firebase that we're destroying now is pretty easy, but the other ones are a little bit harder. See, I can't do the same trick because if we get too close and personal, the other ones are going to pick off the rebels anyway. So I've got to come up with a different strat to deal with the remaining firebases. So I end up capturing the artillery platform, and I was hoping that that would have the range to pick off the remaining firebases. It does mean that I'm not getting the veterancy with the rebels, but it also means that I'll be able to capture the power plants in the end. I can always get the veterancy from the other US forces later on in the mission. So yeah, this art platform, it's a little bit awkward because I've got to try and force fire it in the right direction and not destroy the power plant. If we destroy the power plant, it does mean that the US is going to get 2 ranges that they can play with. But we're able to get the rid of the fire base, and we can pick off the other 2, and then we'll get access to those power plants there. Meanwhile, the rebel that's back at the particle cannon, I'm using him to force fire to lure out more and more of the rangers. That way I can pick them off one by one. And that's all I can really do by this point, is very, very, very slowly eliminating them one at a time.
The higher order shall reign. Take up glory. None of that. Nothing will stop us. The way is clear. I'm going to receive my order.
Yep, so I'm going for a sneak attack next. So since it will take a long time to pick off these rangers, I decided to bring back the rest of the group, and we're going to use the sneak attack as a meat shield, so then the rebels can pick off the rangers without getting hit. And because these guys have the camo, they can go stealthy, and then we'll just rinse, repeat, and then they'll slowly lose those rangers. See, this is the thing. Like, I had a lot of fun with this mission because it was basically just one big puzzle, trying to figure out what's the best way to go about getting to the aircraft carrier, or doing like this part of the mission and keeping as many rebels intact as possible. Remember, it's only 14 rebels, and 14 rebels, I mean, if you can vet them up, they can go a long way in terms of firepower if you like get them to gang up on a Crusader tank or a Humvee. But 14 rebels can still go down to a lot of other units like Comanches. So I only captured enough power plants just so I could use the particle cannon. The remaining power plants, we could capture those later on in case we need to use the particle cannon again. So with the particle cannon, I'm going for the strategy center, and we're going to go in a straight line, and then we're going to go for the airfield next. So the US doesn't rebuild here, and the reason why we went for the strategy center in the first place is because they have the search and destroy ability on. And search and destroy is going to reveal stealthy units, which is what my rebels are right now. So I need to take out the strat center in order to have free reign over this section of the US base. And then that way I can pick and choose my battles and pretty much just whittle down the US forces to the point where I can later on get my rebels to the aircraft carrier safely. Now here's what's scary here is that the Rangers did a little bit of damage on the particle cannon and the Comanche's also chipping in. See, if the particle cannon gets destroyed, we fail the mission. I have no real answers for this except to just hope and pray that the particle cannon doesn't get destroyed. I did have one attempt where the particle cannon did get destroyed, so that was unfortunate. But yeah, like I said, I got no answer. Just fingers crossed and just hope they don't destroy it when they capture it.
Our courage will be seen by all. Yes, I go.
Meanwhile, with our rebels, we're going to move them to the west. So I don't want to go down south just yet because they're going to have a boatload of units protecting the aircraft carrier, not to mention all of the base defenses that they have. So I need to move these guys into position, and then that way I can pick my first few battles. It's really going to be the first few battles that I pick that will determine how the rest of this battle will go. So the Comanches are coming after my quad cannon. Now this is why I placed the sneak attack at the beginning. It's because the Comanches are going to get drawn to it, and the quad cannon is going to attack the Comanches. Now I said at the beginning that I have no control over who or what my other units attack. So that is within the rules. So with that, we're going to go back to the rebels and we're going to figure out what can we destroy first to get ahead.
Yes, I go.
Back at the quad cannon, I'm placing another sneak attack next to him as an extra layer of protection. You don't have to use that or the repairability on him because he will shoot down those Comanches to the point where he will vet himself up to vet 3 and he'll be able to self-heal back to full health by the time the next batch of Comanches come to him. Now with the Comanches, they will eventually run out. Now with our rebels, we take out the airfield. If you shoot the airfield even once, they sell off. I think it's mainly so they don't let you have control over the airfield, but I don't plan on using it because we're only using 14 rebels to beat this challenge. Now Humvees come out to play, and I gotta be very careful here because Humvees are probably the second worst thing that I have to go up against. Comanches is the worst because I can't, fight back against Comanches. So I've got to think of a plan here to deal with each of these Humvees without, luring too many vehicles out. So I tried garrisoning the tower, and it drew the Humvee a little bit closer, but not enough so then I can get shots off on him. So then I try force firing, and he's still not biting. In fact, I make things worse by drawing a Humvee, another Humvee to the battle here. So now I'm like, okay, well, what am I gonna do? But the thing is, this Humvee is close enough to the tower, so I am able to pick him off, but I've still got to deal with this guy here. And once I evac, I am going to take a little bit of damage from the Humvee, so I've got to be careful. So I try the force fire trick, and I lost a rebel. But plus side, he did get close enough to shoot down. So just like that, we've gone from 14 rebels to 13. Because one's still at the power plants and one is still at the particle cannon acting as a spy. So my next plan was to use a sneak attack. If you do sneak attacks on top of enemy units, enemy infantry, it will do a little bit of damage to those infantry. So since I thought the coast was clear, I thought let's try and capture this supply drop zone. That will lure more vehicles to me, and then I could potentially use the drop zone as a meat shield and then gang up on the vehicles. So we're able to pick off a Humvee out of that, and they go for the Comanche next, so that was not good. And doesn't matter if you let it get destroyed or if you sell the drop zone, because the Rangers don't have stealth ability, so I would have lost the Rangers anyway. Now that Comanche I know is going to come to where my quad cannon is. And see, the quad cannon is doing just fine on his own. He may take a hit or two, but he will self-heal. And I decided to risk capturing the other drop zone. I should have stopped and let the rebel go stealthy again. But yeah, now we're down to 10.
We will not be oppressed. One path to freedom. Our day has come.
So this time around I was like, okay, I don't think I'll be able to capture this, so let's destroy the drop zone instead. And I'm going out and not picking off those rangers just yet. I want to wait on my guys to get back into position, and then we'll go right back in. We're just trying to pick the right battles here. That way we don't lure too many US forces towards the rebels.
The way is clear. Take out to glory. One path to freedom. No, yeah, I go. Take out to glory. The way is clear.
So I'm starting to make big moves on the US. So the next plan was I wanted to use the rebel to capture the power plant, but I only wanted to do that to lure the Humvees close to me. So with that, I can gang up on the Humvees and then just pick them up one by one. Because the Humvees are going to be weaker than the Crusader tanks, but they are going to do more damage to my infantry compared to a Crusader tank. So got to get rid of those Humvees quickly. Yeah, just going in, do a little bit of damage, go out. And this was unfortunate. I tried to get my rebels out of the way, and we lost one. He got run over, and now we got 3 Humvees attacking the sneak attack. Now, I could have used my rebels to attack the Humvees, but I was like, I don't think it would be wise to get into a battle with 3 Humvees, because they might switch targets to the rebels and I'd lose everybody probably. So with that, I thought, okay, well, how do I take out 3 Humvees? That's going to be a challenge. What I did though was I moved my guys behind this building here, and I thought, okay, well, I've got some level of cover and we're going to force fire. Now, the Humvees have to go around the building to get to me, but it also means that they're going to be close enough for my rebels to shoot down. So just like that, there goes 2 of the Humvees, and now all I have to do is get my guys into position and then gang up on the 3rd one, and just like that, we've dealt with 3 Humvees clustered together.
We will not be hindered. Yes, I go. One path to freedom. We will not be hindered. Yes, I go.
So I was pretty confident that there was no more Humvees in the game here because they would have sent more by now. So it's really just Crusader tanks and then the remaining infantry. So with that, I'm just going to pick them off, and then I finally decided to garrison the building here. I was like, I'm not going to need the garrison building later on because there won't be too many more vehicles in the game. And I was about to do the same trick with the sneak attack, but I thought to myself, well, by using sneak attacks, it means that I'm also vetting up the ranges, so I'm sort of making my own life difficult by doing that. So what I do instead was I lured out a few, and then I use the sneak attack. It does mean that one of them is going to get vetted up, but I thought to myself, I'll be able to do more damage that way, but yeah, I was very wrong about that one. So back at our rebel group, we pick off the Ranger, and we're finally going to the south. Now, the aircraft carrier isn't too far away, but there's still going to be a lot of defense in the way that we have to find a way to get through. Mainly the 4 Patriots. So they got 2 Patriots lined up on each side, and Patriots reveal stealthy units, and so with that, if I run my units into the Patriots, then if they've got any other defending units in their base, then they'll just send those to me, and then I'll lose my rebels. So I've got to think of another plan.
Yes, I go. them from our land. We will not be hindered. Our day has come. None shall stand in our path.
We are closing in on the aircraft carrier. It is just south of here.
So we're at those 4 Patriots that I mentioned earlier. Now I'm going to get my rebels to capture the supply drop zone as well as the oil refinery. Now you don't have to get rid of the supply drop zones in this mission. As long as you get rid of the aircraft carrier, you're good here. So whilst I'm capturing these things, I notice that there's a lot of blue in the middle of the map. So I do end up checking it out, and to my surprise, I found a whole bunch of raptors. I was like, oh, I hope you're not circling there permanently. Thankfully, they flew off after a little bit. Because the thing is, I need to capture those power plants in order to gain control of the particle cannon again, for one. But I also need to disable the power for the US side, so then I can get my rebels into their base undetected by the Patriots. So I use the sneak attack, and I'm leaving one guy behind to keep an eye for when the Patriots go offline, and sending another guy to the north to capture power plants. Meanwhile, I pop out of the very first tunnel that we start with, and these guys are going to join up with the rebel that's been hanging out at the particle cannon. So whilst we do that, these guys, I don't really have a very good plan right now. The only thing I can do is take a few shots on the Rangers and then walk away. Same as before earlier in the battle when we were just using one rebel to attack. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. So I decided to wait on the sneak attack to be ready again, and I think I should have placed it in a different way, because yeah, we're doing damage by using the sneak attack on the Rangers, but my rebels are kind of slow getting to the other Rangers, so we do pick off a few, but not enough to really make an impact. So with our rebels, I decided to walk them back, and I forgot about the ranger that runs towards the other rangers that are at the particle cannon. So with that, I did have to make moves there, and the 3 other rangers that are patrolling with that 4th one that we took out, they're going to go towards my quad cannon. And quad cannon, again, I have no control over who or what they attack, so they're going to pick off those 3 rangers for me, and then I can pick off these other rangers with my rebels.
We are closing in on the aircraft carrier. It is just south of
And just like that, we lost a rebel. So I did get in a little bit too deep there. See, that's the thing. It's like, there's so many there, but I was like, well, I could wait on sneak attacks over and over again. That might work. Or I can just do this little strat of 2 shots, walk back, 2 shots, walk back.
We will cleanse them from our land.
And yeah, I ended up misclicking there, so I lost another rebel. So I've got 6 left at this spot on the map, and then there's the 2 that are in the US main base, and then another at the US power plant in the middle of the map. So I've got 9 left.
Prepare to fight.
So I'm using my northern rebel to capture the power plants at the 4 corners, and the reason why we're doing that is because the US has an A-10 strike that they could use against me. Now granted, they could also hit the power plants that I capture in the middle of the map. Now whilst that's happening, I'm waiting on my sneak attack to be ready again. Now with the sneak attack, I kind of learned my lesson, and I thought to myself, okay, let's try and use this in a different way. So I use the sneak behind where the Rangers are instead. So it will do a little bit of damage, but my rebels can now take the Rangers from behind here. So with that, I'm able to do a lot of damage, and just like that, a lot of Rangers are now out of my way.
Take us to glory.
So I'm going to move on to the next one. See, some of these Rangers seem a bit isolated from the rest, so I'm able to pick those guys off pretty easily. And whilst we do that, we're luring the other ones a bit closer to where we are. And what we're doing is we're just trying to lure them towards the sneak attack that we just placed. That way that can act as the meat shield. Or I can just use the rebels to gang up on each individual ranger, and then that way they'll eventually run out of rangers to protect the particle cannon.
Attacking! We will not be hindered. Nothing will stop us. The way is clear. They will be killed.
So 2 to go, and yeah, they're all like moving in one at a time here, which is great because it means that I'm not really risking my rebels. Like I got 9 left, but I do want to try and keep as many intact as I can. So with that, I'm going to try and capture more power plants, and I want to try and get the US forces offline here so then I can move my rebels into their base undetected from the Patriots here. So I use my sneak attack at the middle of the map just so I can speed up the process of capturing the power plants here. And then once that happens, I can then pop those rebels out where the one is hanging out at the Patriots, and then we can get those guys to move into the US base just a little bit faster. So they're offline now, so we're going to sneak into the base. I'm not even going to worry about the Rangers or the rocket troops that they got guarding, and there's a Comanche there, but there's no way of detecting my units, so I can just move these guys more and more south until we get to the actual aircraft carrier. Now, we haven't captured the particle cannon just yet, because if we capture the particle cannon, they will do a power drop in that same section, and then they'll recapture it or possibly destroy it if they send in those Comanches too. So we want to try and reveal the aircraft carrier first, then capture the particle cannon, and then use it right away, just like before when we used it on the strategy center and the airfield.
Our particle cannon is ready. Their carrier will be turned into scrap.
So just like that, that is how I beat GLA Mission 3 using 14 rebels. So I actually did have a lot of fun putting this one together. It was a really, it was a complex kind of puzzle type of mission that we had to do, but I'm actually looking more forward to when I put out GLA Mission 4, Jarman Kell and the 40 Thieves. I'm really looking forward to the comments that you give me on that one, because yeah, that one was an even tougher mission to put together in terms of a puzzle. So yeah, if you enjoyed this one, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I do have a Command & Conquer playlist if you want to see any of my other Command & Conquer content. I'm Croclo, I'll see you next time.